what I want to share with you guys is some esoteric writings that have been misinterpreted as literal meanings. Please forgive me because I do have a cold and you'll hear me sniffing a lot. It's kind of difficult to breathe, but I'm trying to get it's important that we understand that these words aren't meant to be taken literal, and I'm referencing the Bible. And I start with this Bible because it's the beginning foundation for most of the world's values, beliefs, and conduct. And we all can bear witness that the majority of the ruling nations have Christianity as their dogma that they follow. And then they rule, make their laws. People have their moral values based on what this book says. And then groups out of this belief create their own dogmas from interpreting what the book says. And there's many groups. I'm not going to get into all of them. I can name a few so that you can understand that there are groups. You'll have the Protestant, you'll have the Catholic, you'll have the Hebrew Israelite, you'll have the Jew, you'll have the Methodists. All of these are the Baptists. These are groups who separated themselves into factions, but all professing to study the same book and just having different understandings of what the book means.
Which is why there's like that. That's why Islam is split in two, and
exactly because it's that way in every doctrine. Every doctrine is going to have a group of people who interpret that doctrine in their own way and create a new spawn out of that belief system and calling that the proper way. And they'll swear by their way as the only way with firm belief that their way is right. And I don't think nobody ever intentionally believes what they believe, even though it may be false, believes what they believe with the intention of doing something evil with the belief. Or believing that the belief is evil in any kind of way. I don't think people want to believe in anything evil is what I'm saying. I think we want to do what's right as a whole, all of humanity. We want to be good on earth. And then we do have, I said as a whole, collectively, we do have among us though, people who want to do evil and deliberately do evil and deliberately do things to deceive so that the end goal for them is evil. Now, what if I was to tell you that the word Adam, the word mankind, and the creation story isn't talking about a physical human being and talking about something else?
I was about to say, did you say Adam or Atom?
Adam, A-D-A-M.
Okay. What
if the tree that God mentions in the Bible, and it's mentioned in the Quran calls itself, by the way, a confirmation of the Bible. So let's stop and think about something simple. I'm contending that the Bible is an esoteric book, not speaking in a literal language, talking about something different than what the words say. So now if the Quran is claiming to be a confirmation of it, then it would have to be something esoteric too, and talking about something that is not meant to be taken literally. Wouldn't that be mandatory if you could prove that the Bible says directly in its pages that it's esoteric, that it's not meant to be taken literal? Wouldn't that prove that both books have to mean something different? Wouldn't you have to conclude that? So what if the word man doesn't mean human beings, literally? Let's talk about the word Abraham. Abraham means, we're told that he represents the Father for all nations. And what if it's not meant to be taken literally as he's the seed that caused all of us to come into being?
Mm-hmm.
What if that's being misinterpreted? Look at the word for a second. Now, I've taught this in lectures on social media, but look at the word. Break it down into its etymology, and you get something very unique out of this word. Abraham. Say it. Let's say it. Abraham. You hear 3 syllables, don't you? Abraham. Abraham. We say A, but it's A. Abraham. Abraham. In etymology, that's Abba. And guess what Abba means in Hebrew? Father. Abba is Father. So, the beginning foundation of his name is Father. Ra. Ra. What is Ra? In ancient Egypt, writings, we know of the existence of Amun-Ra. Right? Y'all been taught about that?
Wait, no.
Amun-Ra.
You haven't learned about. I haven't learned about Egypt yet, but
Ra is the sun god.
Okay, so now
It's a representation of the sun.
exactly. So now you got Father and Son, and then you have the last syllable. And that is a lot of things that you. I mean, he just pinpointed right there. He just got it. What are you doing? Thinking. Bingo. Thought. Energy. Sound wave. Brain wave. Information. Tie all those words. Hymn. Hymn. Hymn, symphony, orchestra, harmony. You're getting all these things out of that word. What is Om? Om represents spirit. This is the spirit of the universe. So you got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, all contained in a word with hidden meaning.
Back when I was in physics, we learned about like the word it had something to do with electricity.
Energy, exactly.
Yes.
I'm going to read a verse from Galatians. Part of a verse from Galatians. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. Y'all hear what that just said? But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. Now, I just told you who the Father was. The Father is Abraham. Abraham. You have 3 esoteric entities taking on the form of a man in the book, but it's the esoteric that you are supposed to be grasping a hold to in the meaning, and not the physical connotation of a man. And so, if Jerusalem is the mother and Abraham is the father, then who is the son? We are taught in Christianity that Jesus is the son. He calls himself two types of son. He calls himself son of man, and he calls himself son of God. So let's understand, what does he mean by being the son of man? What does he mean by a son of God? Because that's important. I think that's very important, that first we need to understand who God is first. This is from Corinthians 3 verse 17. I use the King James Version. It says, now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. What is liberty? Liberty is freedom, it's autonomy, right? So now, it in fact calls the Creator a spirit. So now we got to understand what is a spirit. Timothy 2 Timothy 1 through 7, it says that love is a spirit. In 1 John chapter 4 verse 8, it said God is love. So now we have love represents spirit, which is energy. And then God is love. So now that means God represents this energy of love. So now Jesus called his Father God. So his Father is love in an allegory. Now, what is the Son then? In a physical realm, the Son is an image of the Father. He's an offspring of the Father and the Mother. So he's a representative of both of those, right? In a physical form.
What does it have to do and with this? Okay, so this is the Father. Well, if like regarding what you just said, does that have to do with does that have anything to do with any of your previous statements, like about Ra and the Egyptian sun god?
I'm gonna tie that in.
Yeah, I just couldn't construct my sentence correctly.
1 Corinthians verse 1 through 1. 1 Corinthians 1:24. But unto them which are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. So what has God begotten? God has begotten a power and wisdom that he bestowed unto man. So God is love, and out of love is born, this is what this book is saying, God is love, and out of love is born a power and wisdom that he bestowed to man. And now whoever lives in the essence of love now has the power and the wisdom to interact with the creation. Are we understanding? You are now operating in the Christ mindset, because it's a mentality using he is the power and he is the love. It's not a physical man. It's a mentality called power, an energy called power, an energy called love, an energy called wisdom. He says in Timothy 2, 1 through 7, God has not given the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So God has given something to the creation. begotten from him. It's not saying God went and blew into Mary and boom, bang, 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 and now out comes a kid out of Mary after 9 months and she has a baby. It's saying God breathed into the creation, into this creation entity that he's forming. He's giving him a power. And the power comes from a different energy that's greater than it. Love is the power. It's greater than the power because the power is born from love. So everything in the creation exists because of love. Want to prove it? Turn on some loving, soft, beautiful music and play it for your plant and film it. And then turn on some hateful music and film it and watch what the plant does. The plant can tell the frequency, vibration, and discern which one is hate and which one is love, and it's going to respond to the love that stick up straight towards the sun and grow and feel vibrant that whole day. But you put some hateful stuff on that CD and play it, and it's going to bend down and be unhappy. Go ahead.
Yeah, but like, what about, okay, so there are certain things, like, according to some video that I watched, cats, and I actually tested this, cats like only one kind of music and don't like most other kinds of music. This composer named David Ty made some cat music, and I tested it on Malik's cat and he liked it. And so how? Yes, obviously. But how would that, like, would that count as like music of love, or would I actually have to still play some of that to a cat if I were to?
I think each entity in the creation knows its own mode of fulfillment, and so, for example, what brings a cat tranquility? They like to cuddle up and hug up on you and purr. That's their source of happiness. They just want to be happy laying around and resting. They don't need all of this other excitement chasing the mouse and the bird to get joy. That's just a part of their nature force, that energy that they have to exert in order to be the true meaning of what a cat is for the hunt. But as far as the tranquility, he gets that from just laying around and resting. And because humans have domesticated the cat gets to get the comfort from a human being. He can tell, believe it or not, the cat can read your vibration, your energy, and they can tell when you're a bad spirit energy coming from you and when you're a good energy. And when they think that you're a bad spirit, they're going to run from you. We've all seen that. When they know you're a soft, loving, compassionate entity, they'll cuddle right up on you and lay down and fall asleep. Because all they want to do is live in peace. I want to talk about fruit for a second. Fruit represent the works that we do, the things that come from our mouth. And I'm going to show you proof of it so that we can understand. You shall be known by your fruit. I create the fruit of the lips. Peace to him that is far off and to him that is near, saith the Lord, and I will heal him. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. That's Proverbs 18, verse 20. Now, when we just read those without an understanding, we just think it's talking about eating.
Yeah, like I was about to ask you, like if it meant the like fruit as in like worth and usefulness.
Well, I'm going to explain next in the next verse. This is Hebrews 13, verse 15. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to God continually. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to him, to his name. So now, the fruit of your lips is giving thanks, and the fruit of your lips is giving praise. The fruit of your lips is saying something. And it's not just physical lips that it's talking about, it's thought. The first spoken word is thought. What? How is that possible? Aren't you hearing it? Aren't you hearing it?
I thought you meant differently, like the first word that was ever said was.
I'm talking about when you something coming out of your essence, it has to exist as a thought before it exists as a spoken word. Right? And when you think, are you hearing yourself? Who's doing the speaking? You ever thought about that? Who's doing it?
Yeah, honestly.
And you know what you do? Think about this for a second. You can manifest inside of you. This is too deep for the people who are just locked in a religious book. So I don't expect everybody to understand this. But you can manifest in you. In you. The voice of your ancestor. Can't you make your voice sound like your mother in your thought? And talk to you in your mother's name. And the kingdom of God is where? In you. So in you is your mother. In you is your ancestor. Everything in the creation, you are a part of it. When you get that understanding, they will know how to deal with the rest of what happens to us during our brief stay on this planet in physical form that we perceive as physical. You are the kingdom. When thou shalt besiege a city a long time in making war against it, to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them. This is all metaphoric. For thou mayest eat of them, and thou shalt not cut them down, for the tree of the field is man, to employ them in the siege. That's Deuteronomy 20, verse 9. Now they put, after the word man, they put a comma and put life, man's life. Put an S, man's life, but that's not what the Bible said. In the lexicon, the word for man was Adame, and it didn't have the word life come after it. They added the word life and they put it in parentheses, deliberately to let you know that this wasn't the word in the Bible. We're just adding this because this is our understanding of what the word means. But look at the word again, what it says. And thou shalt not cut them. It says, thou shalt not cut them down, for the tree of the field is man. So man is a tree, a symbol representing the tree. So now let's rewind all the way back to the book of Genesis. Do not approach this tree. Oh, wait a minute.
And the connection between what you said.
Because the symbol ain't changing. Oh, wait a minute now. Do not approach this man, or you're going to run in harm and transgression. Because why? The man's fruit, tree, fruit. Remember it said, don't eat of the fruit of the tree. Because we just proved that the fruit is the words that come out of your lips. The fruit is your works. a mentality, an idea coming out of the mouth. Don't approach this man because this man got some BS that he's about to teach you. Now I'm going to explain to you what you should be following. In this tree of life, God is life. God and life is love. I'm going to show you that if you eat from this wisdom, this power, you're going to have the tools necessary to understand everything that you need in life. On this tree that I don't want you to approach, the fruit of its works, which is a man, the fruit of its works is the knowledge of good and evil. And you can't have good and evil and live inside of love, because love is the conqueror of all. It solves all the problems. We just read in Juma, he described what the cheaters do. Cheaters want people out of their money. Full measure for themselves out of their good. Then they want to withhold full measure from you. And in the verse, so he says, woe to the cheaters. That's the knowledge of good and evil. In that realm, it's good for him that he can get full measure, but it's not good that you get full measure. So God's saying, don't approach that man. Don't approach that type of knowledge. Don't approach that way of thinking. Because if you approach that way of thinking, you're going to run into harm and transgression. If you just follow in the realm of love, then you're going to always want for your brother what you desire for yourself. And if you don't want to be harmed in any kind of way, you're going to automatically operate in the good. And you're going to make sure that everybody else get fair measure too, because you don't want to be cheated out of your fair measure. So that's living in love. And that's why I say, if you don't want to be disrespected, if you don't want to be talked about, if you don't want to be yelled at, then you live in love. And when you hear somebody disrespectful, they're not living in love, they're eating from the tree of good and evil. They're wanting something good for themselves, but not wanting to give it to their fellow man. But when we exist in love, love is going to cause me to treat my brother how I want to be treated. Nobody wants to be disrespected. Nobody wants to be cheated. Nobody wants to be cheated on. Nobody wants to be injured. Keep your hands to yourself. Nobody wants to be hit, so don't hit anyone. Go ahead.
Okay, so earlier you were talking about how not to approach the tree. And does that lead to? Well, I have two questions, and this is like the second one is a follow-up question to the first one. Does not approaching the tree and then ending up approaching the tree anyway lead to the Bible's interpretation of the fall of man?
Exactly.
And
give me some dap on that one. You got it. That's what I'm talking about.
And my follow-up question is, well, it's not really a question. It's just some kind of statement. Is that like? Well, it can be a question. Is that how protons, neutrons, and electrons were created because of positivity and negativity, or did they exist prior to the fall of man?
Well, the duality in energy is going to forever be there. But remember, positive can't be negative. Positive can't get outside of nature, is going to always stay positive. And the negative can't get outside of that nature, is going to always be negative. And the neutral is always going to be neutral. Love is going to always be love, and it's always going to have inside of love the attributes of everything that's good, which includes mercy, forgiveness, charity. All that's an attribute of love. And the Christ inside you is not a physical man. The Christ inside of you is the power to be able to discern, mediate between your heart and your carnal mind, how to use love. That's what this book is saying. It's saying you have this power. I've begotten an offspring of love and placed it inside of you And you're like a tree. The Quran says man is created like a plant. So it's remember, it calls itself a confirmation of the Bible. It's saying you're a plant. And as a plant, I've put the genetic code for what you are going to be inside of you. You have that information. And now as you grow, you become this new being. And then for some, let's think about this for a second. For some seeds, they resurrect every year. And some, you have to replant them in order to get them to grow again. Because it is their nature to live that one life and it's over with. Some resurrect. And what is the resurrection? What resurrects you? Love. All the attributes of love is what recreates you every day.
And that's like
it gives you a new birth.
And that's how people believe that plants are raised in the first place, and animals, and how you raise anything. Like in my first time learning about plants, which was like first or it was either kindergarten through second grade or third grade. But we were learning about how to take care of a plant, and they always said, it needs air, it needs sunlight, it needs water, and it needs love. And
your grandmother, my mom, she used to always tell me, whenever you cook, the most important ingredient that you can put in any food is love. She said if you put love in it, you'll always have a good tasting meal. Go ahead.
I was about to talk about that.
Yeah, she taught that you cook out of love. That's the most important ingredient in any food. So I'm going to tie all these pieces together. We read from the Bible, from Galatians, that Jerusalem is the mother and Abraham is the father. Look at the word Jerusalem. What do you hear in the word? You hear 3 syllables, don't you? You hear Ja, Ru, Salam. Ja. Go ask a Jamaican who is Ja.
Yes.
No. Ja is in their tongue. That's the Father. That's God. Ja, the Father. Ru, Amin Ra. Ru, the Son. And Salam, peace. And how Salam spelled S-A-L in that word, Hebrew, S-A-L-E-M. The last word is your mother and your father are the same thing. That's what it's trying to tell you. Your mother and your father are the same thing. And what is the mother and the father? I remember Jesus said, my Father is up in heaven. The Father who taught him, he says that's his teacher. My rabbi is up in heaven. The teacher that taught him is love. Because God is love. So he's saying, love is my teacher. Why didn't we get that? Why didn't we understand it? It's right there in the book. It's been there all along. Love is my teacher. That's who guides me. Love. And I use the power born from love to execute from my spirit love, demonstrating it by teaching you, by giving a charity, by speaking kind words. Because the fruit of that tree that gives you life is the kindness, the love, the words, the mercy coming from the thought and exuding out from the mouth. That's the tree of life. It's love. And everything born from love is going to be your works, what you do with love. And you will be known by your works, by what comes from your lips, by what comes from your thoughts, by what comes from your actions, which are your words. You're going to be known by that, whether you are eating from the tree of life or whether you're eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because you can't exist in love and act partially in evil in any kind of way. The cheater can't be possibly living in love because he doesn't want to be cheated. And so he cheats his fellow man. So he's eating from the tree of good and evil. Go ahead.
So you said that it always has to, duality always has to exist. So, do the trees represent that duality? Like, before, like prior to, when, like...
You are the duality of the tree.
Oh.
Where do you come from? You come from the earth. You go back to the earth. Like a plant, you grew out of the earth. The earth is right now growing another species we're totally unaware of. We don't even know that it's happening. The water is creating another species. We're constantly discovering new types of fish, new butterfly species, new birds. Just come from out of nowhere. It's because the earth is constantly bringing new life. And as that plant understanding now, like I said, it should change for the listener, and I hope everybody who's listening is not just hearing this for surface knowledge, and grasping hold of this to let go of that chokehold that religion and false teachers have on us. Jesus is not God in a literal sense. Jesus does not have a separate father from you in a literal sense. Your father and his father are one. He said that. And his father is love. That's his teacher. That's who he follows. He follows love. Love rules and dictates all of the aspects of his conduct. And when we're talking him, I'm talking about the energy. Energy from you, from me, from everybody. We become the Jesus Christ. We become the Muhammad. We become the Abraham. We just read, I read part of the book of that verse from Galatians, but had I read the whole thing, it would have said emphatically that Abraham and Sarah was an allegory. It says that in that verse, that they're an allegory that explains what the words mean. And just think about that too for a second. Here you got Hebrew Israelites standing on street corners. One, we talked about this earlier, me and Stephen. But they stand on the street corners. One holds the Bible, and the other one is the microphone talking. And they sound so convincing. Timothy, so and so, so read it for him. And then he'll read, Timothy, so and so, that the so and so, maybe so and so, and then you sit there listening to this and you're thinking, wow, the Bible does say that, without understanding. And you can easily be misled because someone's spouting off with a megaphone saying that he brought the truth. And we just read the truth. The tree of life is a plant, and that plant is man. You're the tree. It said you're the tree. You're the tree. And you're approaching another tree. That means you're approaching another man. And he said, don't approach that man. Because that man, what's coming out of his lips is a fruit. And that fruit is knowledge. That fruit is information. And I don't want you to hear that information, because that information is going to give you the knowledge of good and evil. And you'll get confused in that realm. That's what God said. You'll get confused in that realm. I don't want you to be in that realm. Just be in love. And out of love, I'm going to give you the power. It's called Christ. It's a power to discern how to use love. So just follow me. You'll be all right. And all this other stuff don't even matter to you. Love your enemy. What does that mean? Whoa. Do it out of love. You can't be in good and evil, eating from that fruit, and understand what love your enemy means. Love your enemy means I don't want this enemy hurting me. I'm not going to hurt the enemy. I've invited the enemy to the path, and I'm going to remove myself away from the enemy so I won't be tempted in the tree of good and evil to harm the enemy physically. So I'm going to pull myself away from this enemy, and I'm going to continue to watch and protect my brother and my sister. I'm talking about humanity. And when this enemy rise up against them, I'm going to be there. But I'm not going to interact with this enemy, because if I do, I'm going to have to kill him. That's the highest degree of love and mercy, because I could easily just take him out, solve the problem. But the love says God is not going to, whoever this entity of love, he ain't going to even destroy that evil. It's just going to live separate from the good and exist in evil. That's his punishment, is you get to stay evil. But you can't be over here with the good. Eternally, the good get to be free from you. I'm going to put a barrier so that you can't touch. You know there's a barrier. There is a barrier in the water where sweet water cannot transgress into salt water. And they discovered the barrier and got it on film. They show it in the ocean. They show you where the two bodies of water meet, and God won't let them blend into each other because he put a barrier there. If you could put a barrier on the water and use that as a symbol to understand, he could put a barrier between good and evil. And you will never have to be touched by evil again. That's what and that's a whole other lecture that I can go into someday if y'all want to hear it. I can teach y'all what the allegory of heaven and hell is.
Yeah,
in the Quran it says it's an allegory. And I can help y'all to understand the allegory. It tells you in the Bible that it's an allegory. That's a whole other lecture. I'm thankful that you guys were patient enough to sit here and hear this big talk, and that it is my hope and prayer that with it, that we have gotten a more clear understanding, and that with this, it empowers us to do better and do everything out of love. Because that is salvation. That is true life. That is eating from the tree of life. Is doing everything out of love. When your intention is for good always, then good is always the result that come out of it, because good and evil can't coexist together in that tree of life. It can exist together in the tree of good and evil, and in that tree there's confusion. We don't know what path to follow. And 99% of the planet among humanity is eating from the tree of good and evil. It's one of the things born out of love is the emotion of grief, which is what I feel often when I see humanity eating from this tree, not even understanding it, and then thinking we're rightly guided. And this is in all religions, in all philosophies. Everybody think they're rightly guided, and they're coming from a duality state of being, when the oneness, the true oneness, is a congregation of believers ascribing to the concept of love. And it empowers you, like I said, with the Christ, to do all things. You'll do the compassion. You'll do the charity. You get that? You understand that? You have the power to do all things. You'll be able to manifest all things. The things I'm talking about is the emotions, the attributes of love. You have the power now. You have the Christ in you. You have the Muhammad in you. Muhammad and Christ are one. Don't ever think differently. One mentality, one mind, one spirit. Love. One mind, one spirit, all one. Love. And out of that love, you'll be able to operate in the capacity of every attribute. that makes this world a better place. I thank you and I greet you as I came in peace.
Perform.